Hi all and welcome to lesson 32b. Now in the intro lesson 32a we looked at the different types of exchanges. We examined the good, interesting, bad and forced exchange. Of the exchanges that are not forced and therefore played voluntarily, I advise you to study your own games and see why and when you played good, interesting or bad exchanges. This will greatly enhance your playing strength. Now in this lesson we will continue looking into exchanges that were somehow bad for one reason or another. We're going to see 13 game fragments, almost all of them from my own tournament practice in which I or my opponent committed the crime. Okay, here we go. In this position it is white to move, and my opponent played here the voluntary exchange bishop takes f6. I consider that, if not a bad, at least a dubious exchange. After the forced reply g takes f6, I managed to create an extra space for my king on g7, but also, maybe more importantly, I remain up with the bishop against the knight. And normally that is a favorable imbalance for the side with the bishop. Bishops tend to be slightly stronger, at least statistically, than knights. And also, by exchanging, my opponent lured my g-pawn to f6. But from f6 it is completely dominating white's knight. Now white's knight has no forward jumps available anymore. So in that respect this was a dubious exchange. Okay, let's take a look. What could white have played differently? Well, I think he should just simply keep the tension. If he really wants to exchange bishop for knight, then he can also try and do that later on. I think the correct method here was to try and put some pressure on this sore thumb sticking out here with the move c4. Now that attacks this pawn no less than 3 times. And if I now were to exchange with b takes c4, then I think white would get some nice positional pressure. Because after queen c4 he can really pile up against the c-pawn, the weak c-pawn here. So that would give white some advantage. So again, from the beginning position, the starting position, I think that c4 would have been the correct move here. Trying to attack that is closest to you, what's sticking out as a sore thumb, in this case the pawn on b5, and not just voluntarily exchange bishop for a knight if there is no clear-cut advantage attached to this exchange, which would make it a good exchange. We don't just exchange for fun, we only exchange if it somehow improves our position or deteriorates our opponent's position. Okay, let's go on to the next game. Also this position was taken from a club competition game. I'm playing white, and I was in quite some time trouble here. Now the thing is, my king is in check, and I played here what you could call some sort of an instantaneous reaction to try and relieve the pressure of the game, to try and relieve the pressure of the time trouble, and try to hope to go into a winning ending. Now the move that I played was objectively enough for the win. I played here queen d4 counter check, right? And of course black now has to exchange queens. But in doing so, I give up my biggest trump. Of course I somehow secure here a winning endgame, which is not bad in itself and led me to play the move in the first place. But let's go back to the beginning position.